Hi, my name is Nicole Schmidt. I'm a firefighter here at Dallas Fire and EMS, and I'm going to show you how to clean our MSA G1 air packs. You're going to start with hosing it off. What that does is get a lot of the big contaminants off of the air pack. We're going to remove the bottle so you can clean both the bottle and the rest of the pack. We're going to use a mild soapy water and a brush. Next, one of the things that's good to do is to remove the battery because there's a lot of nooks and crannies on these air packs. So drop this all the way down. Use the buckle to remove that battery. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a lot of grime and dirt down in there. So I'm just going to use a damp rag and clean that out. And then dry it. And replace the battery. Next, you want to make sure and clean down behind all of this area here because that likes to hold insulation and other garbage. You can use a brush for this. Make sure and scrub everything down on here so we don't have any contaminants from the fire. While you're doing this, you can inspect and see that there aren't any holes or any problems anywhere on the air pack. Nothing's been punctured. Everything looks like it's in working shape. Make sure you clean the regulator and all the hoses. And then make sure you clean where the bottle goes and all the little parts and places in between. Another thing you want to make sure of is taking your regulator off and making sure there's not any garbage or anything in this seal right here. You want to make sure that it's clean and there's nothing impeding the ability to click it into your mask. And one thing that's really important, this regulator goes two places. It goes in your mask or it goes right here. It doesn't go anywhere else. It doesn't hang free. You want to make sure that you keep it connected at all times so you keep that debris out so you're not breathing that in. Be sure to rinse it thoroughly so you're not leaving any soap residue on it. Then make sure it's, you can dry it down with a towel or you can air dry it. We typically restore them and put them right back on the truck, so make sure that you leave the doors of the truck open so that it can breathe through there. So when replacing your air bottles, you want to make sure that they're changed at a minimum of 40-50 for a pressure. Ideally, we like to see them at 4,500. So when you're changing them out, you start by releasing this. There's a little lock here. You squeeze together and lift this up. And then you're going to grab this. It's a twist counterclockwise. and it pulls out, you want to make sure that your bottle is turned off for this and been bled off before. And then the bottle just slides up out of this catch. So then you can remove your bottle and swap it with a new one that has the appropriate pressure. And to replace the bottle, slide it in from the top and be sure that these little ears are caught in this catch. You're going to want to just push this straight on until it clicks, and you can pull back to make sure it's clicked, and then you're going to flip this down and make sure it clicks as well. You want to make sure that it's locked into place. On scene, you're either going to replace your bottles from support or you're going to replace them from the truck. Each truck has a few spare bottles on it. Knowing where those are located is important. We're going to talk about how to properly do a QR check on the SCBA. The QR code reader is on all of the engineer doors, and it's also located on the right side of the volunteer mailboxes up by the offices. So you're going to pull that up on your phone, and you're going to check these air packs anytime you use it. So if you come down and you do some drilling, or if you come do some exercise using it after a call. And then day staff also does a weekly check on these packs. So be sure and use the appropriate button. I'm going to use a post use because we just used this pack. You're going to enter in the date of the day that you're doing the check. You can put your name there, just the last name is sufficient. The SCBA ID number on these packs is located. It's the number that pops up on here. I like to do a 3-second hold of the green button, which brings up your battery life and that number that we're looking for. The SCBA ID on this one is a number 9. You want to make sure your battery is above 50%. There's 5 bars. If it's yellow with 2 bars, you need to replace the battery. The batteries are located inside of the compressor room. Grab one off the charger. So your bottle number is located on a label here. If that label is unreadable, you can also slide your bottle out and find that number right here. It's the ACU 289559, which is the same as the number on the tag. The apparatus, you need to select which rig it came off of. And then your bottle pressure. So hook your bottle back up. Make sure everything's in place. And turn your bottle all the way on. The control module will do a full self-test. So our pressure on this is 4460, which is well above the 4050, which would require a bottle change. Double check that the bottle has been hydrostatic tested within 5 years, and these bottles were hydrostatic tested in 2018. They were checked in 2018, which is also next to that bottle number on the back of the pack. And you're going to do a visual inspection of the pack. You want to make sure that there's no broken parts, there's nothing missing, there's no chips, there's no holes in the hoses. A common place to have issues on these packs is right up here in the hose. So what this is a rubber coating over the low pressure hose. These tear kind of easily. Make sure that there's no tears in that hose itself. Make sure that all the fabric looks like it's intact and there's no big tears or rips or burns in any of it. You also want to make sure that your bottle is undamaged. There's no big gouges, there's no big gashes in it. Make sure that everything is where it needs to be. You want to be sure that your pressure on your control module is within 10% of the gauge on the bottle itself. And this is close to 45, and this is 4465, so they're within 10%. Be sure that when you're doing the full 30-second alarm, you want to have ear protection in because it's very loud, especially if you're checking it in the cab of the apparatus, which is not recommended because you can't visually inspect it as well in the cabs. So you're going to let the control module sit still. It should start alarming at 20 seconds and then full alarm at 30 seconds. And while that's waiting, you can also look at the straps and make sure they're all completely extended out so that they're restored for the next person who's going to use it. You have to use a double click to stop it from there. You can also double check that it works if you just push and hold your red button to go to the full alarm. You should also check that your lights are blinking the appropriate color when your alarm is going off. Make sure that all 4 lights turn red and all of them are green the rest of the time. When you're done with the pack and you're ready to turn it all off, make sure that you turn the bottle all the way off and make sure it's snug. Then you grab your regulator and you're going to use the bypass valve. You're going to watch the gauge on your control module and it should start alarming at about 1500 because that's one third of the pressure. So bleed it off slowly and watch that gauge. And then be sure to retighten your bypass valve so that the next person that uses the pack is able to connect their mask without losing a lot of air. And then double click the green button to turn off the power on the control module and turn the pack off. And then when you restore it back into the truck, be sure that all the straps are extended and it's ready for the next person's use. So when replacing the packs back into the trucks, both on Engine 101 and Ladder 101, we have the smart docks, which you pop the air pack into rather than buckling it in like in Engine 102, which we'll show you in a later video. So we take this, place it inside the dock. You want to make sure that the bottom of the bottle is within that little catch, and then you tip it up gently and it clicks into the dock. Make sure you restore your straps up above so that the next person that grabs the pack has an easy way to put it on appropriately. Make sure everything's kind of in place and out of the way. On Engine 102, the packs go back into the seats a little differently than they do on Engine 101 and Ladder 101. Be sure that the bottom of the air bottle is on top of this little step here on the mount. Another thing you have to watch is these headrests have to come forward and sit between the bottle and the pack itself. And make sure it clicks all the way into place. Be sure to grab the straps from behind, pull them through the handles so that you can secure the pack into place so when we tip the cab, the packs don't fall out of the mounts. So be sure to hook this together and pull it tight. Also, when you're responding, make sure you take this off or you won't be able to get your pack out of the seat. These straps go up and over the top of the headrests and tuck out of the way, and that pack is restored.
Hello, my name is Jamie. I'm a firefighter paramedic here at Dallas Fire and EMS. Today we're going to be showing you how to don your SCBA air pack from the seated position in the cab and then also on the ground. And then following that, we're going to be showing you how to mask up at the door. While donning your SCBA air pack in the cab, you want to make sure that you're efficient in doing this process while wearing your seatbelt. It's very easy to accidentally clip a seatbelt in, so we'll talk about some tips to avoid that. Generally, I start with my shoulder straps, reach back, get my right one and left one, and then reaching down for the waist straps, you want to go under the seatbelt. I put both arms under, reach down for that first buckle, and then go over while keeping your arms underneath the seat belt, or grabbing your regulator and then coming back through, just being sure to not entrap the belt. So I make sure that's clipped, tighten it a little bit. A lot of times once I'm outside of my seat, I tighten it up a little bit more because sometimes the straps get a little snagged while you're seated here. And then tighten your shoulder straps. You got these right here on both sides to tighten down. And then the last thing I do is you go for there's a chest strap buckle. It's on the right side. You can go over your flashlight, under your flashlight, kind of depends how your gear's set up and what you prefer. I like to try to go under my flashlight so it's not pulling into my chest. And then again, make sure you go under your chest, the seat belt chest strap, buckle that. And you want to have your mask clipped up if you can. And then once you get to the scene and the truck is parked and the air brake's set, you're able to unbuckle. You see the seatbelt comes out, it's not attached to any of the straps. And then with these smart docks, you just want to kind of slowly lean forward and you should pop right out. And then you're able to exit the apparatus. These smart docks are smart in the fact that when there's a sudden braking and you're not ready to exit the mount, it locks and won't let you pop out. And you want to be familiar with how that works, because sometimes that lock will engage, and then once you actually get to the scene, you won't be able to pop out until you kind of lean back into it and make sure you click it back into its ready position. And then once you do that, you want to slowly lean forward. Sometimes it's a little fidgety and you have to kind of mess with it a bit. I think the best thing to do is once you're back in the mount, you grab your shoulder straps and then you just gently kind of fall forward with it. You don't want to go fast because that'll cause that same mechanism to lock and you won't be able to get out. So I'll see if I can put the pack back in here. With the smart docks, if you go to pull really fast, it's gonna lock and not let you in. And then once that happens, you want to feel the back plate against your back, and then you just lean back a little bit until it clicks back into its ready position like this. And then you slowly lean forward and you should be able to exit the apparatus. We're not always donning our SCBA from the cab. Usually when you're going to the scene, you'll be in the cab. But there are situations where you'll have to pick up an SCBA off the ground, and we're going to show you how to do that using the jacket method. So you'll come up to it, grab your shoulder straps, and you swing it around like a jacket, and then from there it's pretty similar. It's a little easier without the seatbelt on. I like to lean forward and get the weight of the SCBA on my back so it's not sliding down. I tighten up my shoulder straps, get both waist straps, and then cinch those down. And you want to make sure that you cinch those nice and tight, because that's where you want the weight of the pack to be. That's how these are designed to be used like a hiking backpack. It kind of uses your lower leg muscles and puts the weight down there rather than straining your back the whole time. Tighten those up, and then again, same thing. Chest strap going across, and then you use your shoulder straps just to kind of pull it up and make sure it's all the way adhered to your back. You'll have your mask, and whether you're masking up or clipping it right there on the D-ring to use it later. Alright, now we'll be going over the basics of masking up at the front door, and then kind of go over a couple tips and tricks that you can use if you'd like to help you be more successful in the future potentially. So when you've pulled your attack line and you're preparing to go interior, you've called for water, what I like to do is I put my right knee, my right leg across the hose there. That way that can just charge and you have control of it where it's not gonna whip out at the end once the line's fully charged. And then I take my gloves off the same way every time, grab them like this, and they go right under my left knee. Because sometimes it's days like this when you have a house fire, you can see everything super well, but a lot of times they happen at night, it's pitch black, you got people running by you, hoses being pulled, and you don't want your gloves to get knocked away from you while you're putting your mask on. Because once your mask on, your field of vision's a little more obscured, it's a little harder to see, and you don't want your gloves to be kicked away from you and be searching for that when people are ready to go inside. So I take my gloves off, I take my helmet off, and that. to the side. Unhook your mask. Get your straps tightened down. And then you want to pop your hook up and over and make sure that it goes all the way around your mask and that you have no breaks right there. You want to practice this to get fast and efficient with it, because none of this does any good if you're so fast that you're pulling your hood so far up, or that you're leaving breaks and exposing your skin while you're going inside. Your PPE is your PPE for a reason. It protects you, and you want to be fast, but you want to make sure that you're following all the steps and not cutting any corners. So once your hood's on, grab your helmet again, make sure that's snug, get your chin strap on. Your bottle will generally be on right when you hop off the truck. You should turn it on. And then get your gloves back on. Take your regulator, and your bypass has to be to the right side. It won't connect any other way, and then when it's right in line, it'll pop in. So you take your first breath, and then you'll grab your nozzle. Your hose should be charged by now. Open up your bail, select your pattern, and get all the air out of your line, and you're ready to go inside.